All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is Colts Loyalist, and I hope and pray that this stream runs good because we have a massive rainstorm right here in Indiana right now, and it's killing internet connections. So it is what it is. Shout out to those of you who have been sitting in here waiting on us to go live. Truett and Alpha, thank you so much for being in here. And yeah, wow. I don't know where to start with the injuries that we have right now with the Indianapolis Colts. We have so many, and we're getting ready to go up against a team that just completely destroyed the team that destroyed us week one. So yeah. It's not good. What's up, Brandon Wood? Appreciate you being in here. All right, so talking injuries. Let's go ahead and hit the elephant in the room.
You didn't tell me this was going to be a 3-hour podcast.
I know. Well, I can't make it. This is a 5:30 live stream because I've got another one that I am joining at 7, and then of course at 9 o'clock I am joining DPN because it's Wednesday. So yesterday I couldn't do anything. Day before I couldn't do anything because I had DeQuell and a bunch of other people. I had like 6 different things I was recording or doing other than this. So I do apologize again for.
Hey, you probably did them a lot of favors. They didn't have to listen to my grumpy point of view about last week's game.
All right, man. So let's go ahead and talk Carson Wentz. 2 ankle injuries, different ankles, different plays, injuring different ankles throughout the game on the during Sunday's game against the Rams. Honestly, just straight up, we should have won that game. Holy crap, we really should have.
I mean, with all the injuries, and the thing is this team still continues to beat itself. I mean, we still keep finding ways to say, hey, this journey's not tough enough, and let's do this, or let's do that. And it's so frustrating. You know what I mean? It's just, and I know, so goes life, so goes being a Colts fan. But
right. Okay, so Frank Wright got a lot of heat over that shuffle pass play that ended up being an interception, saying that, it was a bad play, shouldn't have played it, blah, 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 shouldn't have called it. I was talking with DeQuell. I just posted, by the way, the DeQuell podcast that we recorded yesterday. DeQuell says it's a great play. It's an awesome play. It's a smart play at the goal line. He said he's been burnt with that play, that shuffle pass play, every time. Generally, people are. And Aaron Donald just made a hell of a play by knocking Doyle out of the situation. And because apparently, in that situation, and it's a timing thing. And
exactly.
He's supposed to throw that ball at the right time to where Doyle appears in the hole, right? And he didn't see that Doyle got knocked down behind Donald. And that's just, it was a great play by Aaron Donald. A lot of people want to say that Nyheim Hines was open in the flat, but he wasn't, because Jalen Ramsey was shadowing him along the goal line. And had he caught that ball, he would have been tackled probably 2 yards behind the goal line. So, granted, it wouldn't have been an interception, but the odds of him getting in for a touchdown would have been very slim. So,
and the guy that, I mean, don't get me wrong, Aaron Donald did Aaron Donald things, okay? But the guy that stunk up that play was Julian Davenport. I mean, I'm pretty sure that play is not designed Aaron Donald to be 3.5 yards in the backfield, knocking down the guy that's supposed to be catching the ball. You know what I mean? And I understand that, Glowinski gave his chip, but I mean, once Glowinski gave his chip, Davenport's supposed to sit there and didn't. He got pushed so far back in that play that, like you said, it allowed Donald that opportunity to just throw a little elbow. And let's be honest, anything Aaron Donald does with that elbow ain't little. So, not go down. And like you said, the end result of that play was atrocious. Heartbreaking. I've got a list of adjectives that I can continue if you'd like, but I think you got the message. But the thing is like you said, and like DQ says, that is a very successful play. I mean, we've seen that play in college and high school now for decades, and most times it's one that catches everybody, their momentum going the opposite way. I mean, I love that play call. People sit there and talk about they're tired of how Reich is out there on the goal line, and he's not creative enough. Well, that seemed to be a pretty creative play in my eyes. I mean, yeah, it didn't work out. But, I mean, all in all, like I said, I felt like everything was performed except for the tackle position. Everything in that play would have been a success. Like I said, if we could have just slowed Donald down.
Yeah, it was a broken play because of Donald in that situation. We all knew what at least Davenport hit the right guy. He was supposed to do a crackback block on Donald, and he did so. And the blocking out in front of Doyle, had he caught the ball, was there. Glowinski was there. Nelson on his pull was getting ready to hit his guy. He was going to be escorted an easy seam into the end zone. It was just a bad situation created by Aaron Donald. The play that I was more upset about was the very first drive, the one where we went for it on fourth down. I felt like, any points on fourth down on the first drive would have been important. I honestly felt that he should have kicked a field goal. Reich says, his playbook says that, he'd go for that 10 out of 10 times in that situation. I don't agree with that. I think when you're a tie game, get the lead, get the points.
Yeah. See, now, I mean, I respect your thought on these things, but I lean more towards the other side of things. You're playing a very dynamic offense. You know what I mean? You've got 1 yard, and you have is arguably one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. Now, here's the thing I didn't like about it, was I hate when it's a slow developing. Your quarterback's got his back turned to the defenders to fake the handoff. Then all of a sudden he turns around. I mean, why not run something like an RPO or, just anything that keeps the quarterback's eyes on the defense? I mean, they're on the 1 yard line. That trickery is pretty much out the window unless you've got him, rolling out like, But the thing is you even expect that from a Carson Wentz. It's not like we're last year where Phillip Rivers, if he was to run the ball on a bootleg, that would shock everybody, So I'm like I said, you're within the 1 yard line against this dynamic of an offense. Hey, I'm all for going for it on the fourth down. Just something that's a little quicker, a little more physical. And no, I don't mean it has to be up the gut. And no, I don't like the idea of the quarterback sneak there because that's where all the pressure's focused. You know what I mean? But just don't take the quarterback's eyes off that defense. Let them see what's happening in front of them instead of having a rollout where his back is going for him. And when he turns around, all of a sudden, he's got a face full of, oh, no.
Oh, no. Reich did talk about he was thinking about doing a hurry-up quarterback sneak on at first and goal on the inch line. A smart move, but it's something that you have to be practiced for and be prepared because you can't huddle up for something like that. In a situation like that, you want them to get to the line really quickly, snap the ball, go, push, before the defense gets set and ready. That's something that would have been great in that situation, but I don't know if the Colts have practiced that much.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know either. And let's be honest, even if they did, they probably didn't practice it with the guys that we had on the field at the time. So, but like you said, that's something that your Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady's, they used to do that, and Peyton Manning used to do that. You know what I mean? He'd sit there and he'd run the ball up, and they'd have, okay, The defense is in this transition phase. The defense is trying to get the call in or whatever. Take advantage of that unpreparedness and just, like you said, take this offensive line and just shove it down their throat for 1 yard. Gosh darn it, get that touchdown, and then let's have the conversation. Because I mean, like you said, what do they have? 7 plays inside the 5 and no points. That's just, I mean, Quentin Nelson summed it up the best. You know, he's like, that's just unacceptable. And I can also say from the pressers and stuff, that was the most interesting interview was to watch him and the way he reacted and Ryan Kelly reacted. Because let's be honest, I mean, if those guys perform to the level that we expect them to, and Quentin, I felt like did, okay. And honestly, Davenport, I mean, no, I don't want him giving up 15 pressures in 2 weeks, but this is sort of what we expected until we got, everybody healthy and stuff. So I'm not even so yanked off at Davenport. It's just, you know what I mean? Know what your situation is. I mean, this offensive line wasn't moving the ball. Like you said, they had multiple tries. Okay? Obviously, the edge is where we have to go with this, or a little trickery, you know what I mean, like we tried the second time.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the Carson Wentz injury, we'll get to actually what we're talking about here about injuries for this game. Now, the issue here is it was reported as one of them being a high ankle sprain. And then Reich says, I'm not going to get into that today. You know, I'm not going to tell you if it's a high, low, whatever it is. If it's a high ankle sprain, I don't expect him to play. I don't care the severity of it. I don't expect him to play next week because that has to be, a high ankle sprain has to be healed up 100%, or it can be re-injured a lot worse. I've had them. I've played a lot of sports. I know what a high ankle sprain does. I've injured it to the point where I injured it 3 times in a month. 3 times in a month, the same one. And then when I ended up going to the foot specialist, or the ankle specialist, and he looked at the MRIs, and he looked at me and he said, all right, so you're done for 6 weeks minimum, and you can't do nothing. You stay off the foot completely for 6 weeks, because if you roll it again, you could be in a wheelchair the rest of your life. You know, you will not have any access to that, and that's not a good situation. And I understand it doesn't matter if you tape it up, because your ankle still will bend inward. And that's what a high ankle sprain is where it rolls inside. And that's not a good situation. If you tear all those ligaments up and all those tendons, it's not like a broken bone, where a broken bone will heal back stronger. Once they're tore, they are injured for life. They will never come back as good as they were beforehand, right? Ever. So you need to get that as strong as possible. Could he go out there? Huh?
You mean he wasn't being soft? He wasn't being never mind. I'm sorry. I watched something that just got me wild.
I know. And that's why Carson was saying, I have to go with the trainers. I have to do what the trainers and the doctors tell me. Because, like today, when you have the day after a high ankle sprain, it swells up. It becomes, it gets all the pain, everything. And then 2 or 3 days afterwards, it goes down. It feels a lot better. You can walk around on it without pain. Generally, I know this. I've been there. I've done that. But it's still injured. The swelling and stuff will go down. The pain goes away. But you could still literally step wrong on a flat surface and roll it again. And then bam, it's back. That's why he can't go by his own pain tolerance in this situation. He has to go by what the doctors and the trainers are telling him. So, and that's what he said in his presser today. And so you can't go by like what Keyshawn and them were saying, with the whole.
I wasn't even going to say the dude's name.
Oh, I will. I don't care.
Well, I just don't want to give him any publicity. You know what? Because you want to sit there and talk about soft, Keyshawn. Dude, I seen you play football.
Right?
Oh, man. I mean, there's no way Keyshawn would sit there and take the abuse that Carson Wentz has taken over just the last 2 weeks, let alone, the majority of his career, and sit there and keep showing up play after play. So get that soft stuff out of here. That's just I'm telling you what, man. I heard that, and I'm like, okay. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. That's like sitting there saying Philip Rivers, the young pup. You know, it's just, let's call it what it is. Okay, the dude is not. I mean, and I hate saying this, but our offensive line has not held up their part of the bargain. Okay, yes, they will. Yes, they'll work this thing out. They're going to get healthy. I was ecstatic to see what we got from Eric Fisher last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was better than I expected. Honestly, I felt like, okay, it's going to be that sharks in the water type mentality. You know what I mean? You know how these guys, they know somebody's injured, they're going to really attack that stuff. And I mean, if they did, Eric Fisher wasn't lacking, and Quentin Nelson wasn't lacking on handling that pressure. But like I said, once you get from Ryan Kelly, Mark Lewinsky, and Davenport, or sorry, I forgot the guy from Philadelphia's name that we just acquired. None of those guys are performing to the level that we need them to perform. You know what I mean? It's just not. But to sit there and say that Carson, I mean, it's his right. First off, it's both legs, okay? But the worst sprain is on his right leg, which is his plant leg. That's the one that's going to have to be the more stable of the two. I mean, if it was reversed, I'd be a lot more optimistic about this coming. And I understand this is a huge game, okay? This is our first AFC game. This is our first AFC South game. And I want to win this more than I want to watch my kids win a game right now, to be honest with you, okay? But in the same token, if another week of Carson sitting out and putting Jacob Eason in there and let that have that extra week of health, if that means that he's going to have less to deal with. I mean, we've already got Quentin Nelson dealing with the back. He's going to deal with that all year. You know what I mean? We've got Braden Smith with this foot. I mean, whether it's
a foot strain.
I mean, who knows? Yeah, a foot strain, but who knows? I mean, that could,
that could be plantar fasciitis. That's a foot strain. I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying is I just don't see that that's going to be an injury for a person in that position that it's going to go away overnight. You know what I mean? So we're going to have already a lot of guys producing at less than 100%. Okay, let's don't put Carson Wentz out there in a position where he's only 65, 70%, and he's still being protected by these guys that, quite honestly, haven't been doing enough at the percentage of performance that they're at right now.
Well, I will say that I really, like you said, I really like what I saw from Eric Fisher when he was in. He performed admirably, very, very well. I expect him to get more than the 63% of the snaps that he got in week one. He'll probably play the majority of the game, if not the entire game, I think, against Tennessee. There is, now with Braden Smith, I get that that's going to leave us kind of iffy over there at right tackle, but we can help. If we have one issue instead of two issues to deal with, we can help that issue with the tight ends and the running backs. Frank Wright made a big point about that as well in his presser when he was talking about, the running backs and the tight ends. They didn't perform up to par when it came to the, helping out with the blocking, right? And that's something that we'll need that help over there at the right tackle against the Titans, because Danico Autry is going to be over there. And say what you will about the guy, he did pretty good these last couple weeks. He's been performing very well for the Titans. So they're going to need the help from the Jack Doyles and the Mo Alley Coxes, the Kylan Gransons. When you need Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines to go out there and chip block inside once in a while. It is what it is. We need everybody to step up and help out when we have one position that's not playing up to par. So let's hopefully they practice that a lot more this week, because honestly, I'm actually optimistic going up against the Titans. I still think that we're not going to discuss it yet, our predictions and things like that, because I do want to see the injury report, and we'll discuss it Friday when we go live. But they're having offensive line issues as well. They have a
Yeah.
lot of injuries over there at Tennessee. And it's not like they were a great, they were good offensive line, but they've had a ton of injuries. Taylor Lewan hasn't played yet this year because, of his ACL tear. Their right tackles had issues. Their guard has had issues. A lot of like a turnstile at right tackle, just like what we've had. So
You said Llewellyn hasn't played. I thought he had been.
That he tried to go in, could not play, had to come out, did not play last week.
Oh, okay. The one thing that really concerns me, and I know you've probably had a chance to look at it a lot closer than I have because all I get is stuff. But Ryan Kelly, I mean, he's not performing to what we have come accustomed to and stuff. And that concerns me with who he has across from him this week. Because I'm telling you right now, one of the most underrated interior defensive linemen for me is Simmons.
Yeah.
Simmons is a beast. And if Kelly and Quentin Nelson and Lewinsky, I mean, he doesn't move around quite as much as Aaron Donald does. But what he does is so dynamic. And the thing is I don't know if it's the elbow. I really don't know if that's what it is. And if he's Ryan, if he's dealing with the elbow and maybe that's what's causing this off performance from him, you know what I mean? Because that concerns me because I don't understand. I mean, these guys don't just get less talented overnight. These guys don't just sit there and go from being this, upper echelon of centers and guards and stuff, and then all of a sudden, fall off and lose the communication. So, I mean, you don't want to be asking questions whenever you're lining up. I mean, I understand Aaron Donald's a bad man, but I'll tell you right now, Mr. Simmons ain't much lacking from that. I mean, he is very impressive on that D line.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I'm not going to dive in too heavily into the Titans-Colts game itself yet because I do want to see the injury report. And I already did it with DeQuell. We had to due to the situation that was going on with him because he is being put into their Ring of Honor. I guess it's not what it's called, but it's basically what it is, being celebrated at halftime for the Browns this week, and he's leaving today to go do that, so we had to record early. But
okay, so we only get one episode this week? We only get the one episode this week?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
with DeQuell. I did another episode with Believe in Titans. So there will be 2 episodes for Believe in Colts this week, but only one of them with DeQuell.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and you know what? Being 0-2 after facing Seattle and the Rams, and in a game against the Rams, who I think is the best team in the NFC, in a game that not only should we won, but we had a chance to win even with Wentz out, I'm not as down on the Colts as a lot of naysayers are. I honestly believe, most people thought that the Colts were going to be 2-3 after the first 5 weeks, and that was when the schedule dropped, right? So they legitimately have a shot here of coming out and performing very well. Like we said, the Titans defense still is not that great. They're giving up an average of 34 points a game. Okay. The Titans are on defense. And when we play Miami the week after that, we'll probably be facing Jacoby Brissett, not Tua Tagovailoa. So that's also a bonus. And then of course, the Ravens, they basically have no skill position players. All their running backs are like gone, hurt. So, we have a shot. We took the best team, maybe the best team in the NFL this past Sunday, and took them to the wire.
Yeah,
and in a game that we should have won. So that's a big deal for me. Yeah,
and this is no knock on Jacob Eason. I mean, he was thrown into a horrendous situation. But you know what? Had we had Carson Wentz, healthy, you know what I mean, for that final, what was it? 3.5 minutes, I think, that we had the ball. I mean, I love the situation we were in. I mean, because our offense, we weren't having a problem driving the ball. You know what I mean? Our problem was, okay, once we got it to the goal line, how do we get it through that final, barrier and stuff? And so, like you said, I mean, I was really disappointed with the Seattle outcome because I felt like there was just so many surprises that we didn't expect with the offensive line and the linebackers not playing at the bar and stuff. But like you said, this game, I mean, yes, I put in a win because, well, that's what I do. If I can find a way to make it, feasible, the Colts are going to win this thing. You know what I mean? That's going to be my choice of prediction. But like you said, to sit there and go on 0-2 and the world's not at it, not at all. And to sit there and know that these guys have performed under less than, ideal situations, and they are competing with two of the better offenses and arguably the best defense, in the league, then yeah, you know what? We got a field goal away. I mean, I don't have any doubt in my mind that Carson would have let us down for a field goal, at least. You know what I mean? So, like you said, you'd asked me this Sunday night, Monday morning, you'd have probably gotten a whole different answer than today. You know what I mean? But I've dug into what I can, as far as going through and watching Eric Fisher and watching how him and Quentin Nelson communicated and worked. And that was amazing. I mean, like I said, what we saw from them was sort of what you would expect to see from them halfway through the season. So I was very pleased with the communication and the way these guys were handing off and stuff. And I have to imagine that old Mr. Fisher's tongue was probably hanging out a little bit at the end of that game. You know what I mean? Being his first game back after a while.
Another couple injuries that we need to talk about that'll help or not help. Obviously, Xavier Rhodes still dealing with the calf injury. That's a big time hurt. We're going to need him. I really hope he's able to play this week because history says Xavier Rhodes plays Julio Jones very well. Okay? He plays bigger receivers very well. So it wouldn't matter which side he's going up against. He'll be either up against A.J. Brown or Julio Jones. Both of them are the big 50-50 catch guys. I think Xavier would be able to do that, but he's got to be able to play. I'm hoping that he's able to. And then, of course, Paris Campbell, right? He missed last week due to, his injury.
The abdomen.
Yeah, and I'm thinking he'll probably be able to play this week, though. It didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. He was limited practice, but they just held him out. I think that was more of a safeguard thing because they even said, if I remember right, Reich said that he personally kept Paris Campbell out to be on the safe side, to get him healed up. So that's a good sign. We'll probably end up seeing him against the Titans as well. A lot of injuries, a lot of situations. Darius Leonard still dealing with he's still on the injury report with his ankle issue. Yeah, I think the Colts have a shot. It's just we need to get this injury bug behind us. Oh my goodness, the injury bug is just killing us. And it's not just because we're missing the guys on the field for that specific game. You got to remember, they're out there. They got to get in tune with the players around them, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what position you're playing, whether you're a cornerback, whether you're a linebacker, whether you're an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, you got to get in tune to the guys that you're playing with. Paris Campbell's got to get in tune with Carson Wentz or whoever's quarterbacking. Xavier Rhodes has to understand how Kari Willis is playing behind him, things of that nature. So we need to get these guys back healthy and playing so that, here in the next couple of weeks when we are playing teams that we should be beating, that we're actually beating them.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, some of these guys that are struggling right now, the Ryan Kellys, Darius Leonards, I know this sounds crazy, but if you want somebody to sit there and be struggling, you want these guys to be these guys. I have faith in both of them that they're going to sort this out. They're going to figure out a way to get the job done because that's the type of guys they are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's sort of, but I mean, seriously, I can't imagine trying to hold off Aaron Donald with a less than, 100% two arms. You know what I mean? We sat there, we talked about the force, doing it with this, I mean, I have to imagine that elbow is still a very big problem for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they're smart guys, they're tough guys. I really believe that they will sort it out. Like I said with Darius Leonard, I mean, he has been okay. I mean, it's not like he's, missing assignments or anything to that extent. It just doesn't seem that he has that explosivity that we've come accustomed to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he still is out there. He made a great play. They're tackling him. What was that? For a 4-yard loss. I mean, I watched Darius that whole play, and I was like, oh, he's got this. I mean, you could tell he had that thing diagnosed before the ball was ever snapped. And so these are things that, they'll work it out. And like I said, I hope that it's this week because, man, I sure don't like the thoughts of 0-3 with a loss in the AFC South. I do not like that idea.
Nope.
But, like I said, I mean, I feel like these are the right guys to be struggling. These are the guys that are going to figure it out quicker. These are guys that are going to muscle through it. And like I said, okay, maybe they can't do what they could do last year. Let's get around it. Let's figure it out. You know what I mean? That's why this is a team game.
Brian Walton dropping $10 in a tip jar. Appreciate you, my guy. So while I'm sitting here, before I get to that question, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell, and don't forget, if you have a question or a comment that you want up here, do what Brian did. Use that link right there in the description. And don't forget news break. All right. We have, if you want to support us and maybe you can't afford to drop money in the tip jar, you can download the Newsbreak app. It's free and it puts money in our pockets. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. Now, Brian Walton's question is kind of pertaining to this Sunday's game against the Titans, and it makes me a little bit uneasy because I haven't really got to look a whole lot at the Titans the last couple days due to how much work I've had. But after talking to the Believe in Titans guys and their ex-football player that they have on their team, Brian says, do you see any weaknesses that the Colts can exploit? Yes. I think the Indianapolis Colts can get pressure right up the middle against this team. I think that this is a game that DeForest Buckner is going to have a monster game. I say that, first off, remember last year when DeForest Buckner played against the Titans, he had a great game, and we held Derrick Henry down, and we beat the Titans. Then the next game, he was out due to COVID, and Derrick Henry ran all over us, and we got our butts whooped, right? This is a game I honestly believe that our defensive line should be able to do a lot better than what they have been able to do the previous 2 weeks. So I honestly believe that, yes, this is a game where we can get defensive linemen behind the line of scrimmage and create confusion, stop Derrick Henry from going north and south immediately, and possibly limit him from getting 35 carries in a game like he did last week, right, against Seattle, because we don't want Derrick Henry getting 35 freaking carries against us. That's a loss. That's a stinking loss right now today. That's like saying, well, Jonathan Taylor got 35 carries. Well, the reason he had to get in 35 carries because he was doing pretty stinking good and they couldn't stop him, so they just rode him. That's the same thing with Derrick Henry. All right, so I mean, let's limit him to 15 or fewer carries and put the game in Ryan Tannehill's hand. Now, I get it. It's easier said than done. It's Derek freaking Henry. But I think that's definitely something that we can really focus on this upcoming week.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I mean, putting it in Tannehill's hands, not a guaranteed win. I mean, he's, from what I saw, he's been performing at a very decent high rate, for the first 2 weeks. So, I mean, like you said, let's be careful what we wish for. How about we just keep them confused and like you said, Defo come in and just put that pressure up the middle, because nice thing about that is that also makes the run game a little bit more muddied up, and then Derrick Henry may not be finding those massive holes.
Yeah, a lot of interesting. Yes, Ant Rogers and Alpha Wolf in here in the chat. They're bringing up a few things. Kenny Moore, I said it week 1, and I got chewed up. I said he got picked on that first game, and he got picked on this game too, right? He really did. And honestly, and I'm gonna be fair about the Kenny Moore situation. He plays zone defense, guys. He's a zone guy. And Cooper Kupp might be the best slot receiver in the football, okay? He might be. They have between him and Stafford is nasty. It really is. But Isaiah Rodgers, yes, he has to play, has been playing. Yes, he got picked on a little bit as well. And, of course, yes, Rock Ya-Sin has been playing very well.
Yes.
What? I mean, come on, everybody out there, Rock needs to be let go. We've had guys here on our show earlier this offseason saying Rock needs to be let go. Not traded, not downgraded, just released because he's terrible. But he's been the best secondary player we've had so far this year.
Oh, I don't know. For me, I'm more of I feel like Kenny is being stretched a little thin. I think they're using him to sort of cheat to help out, whoever that other cornerback is, whether it's Rodgers or Gary. And quite honestly, I'm more concerned with Ari Willis and the lack of, two of the plays that Cooper Kupp scored on, he was out of the backfield, coming out of the running back position. And it was like, one, I understand he fell down, but then the other one, it was like, so I'm more worried about the Kari Willis situation than I am the Kenny Moore, because I do believe that Kenny Moore's play is going to be elevated when we get Xavier Rhodes back, because I feel like that's going to allow him back into his comfort zone, and maybe even, allow us to use him a little bit more in the blitzing, because we haven't seen hardly any blitzing from Kenny Moore, understandably so, But, maybe we do that a little bit more against the Tennessee Titan team that is going to be trying to run the ball.
Yeah. Chaz says our defense can't be perfect all the time. It literally is a bend but don't break type of defense. That's what a zone defense is. It's a bend but don't break defense, and we're going to give up passes underneath. But and a lot of our passes wasn't really air yards downfield. It was a lot of yak, and that's the problem. We're not supposed to give up yak yards as a zone defense. And we've seen way too many screenplays that took off for 15, 20, 25 yards, right? Way too many, and that's the problem that we're seeing. But Rock Ya-Sin's been absolutely shut down, literally shut down the first 2 weeks. He's I think his rating, I think he has the highest rating of all the Colts defenders, and of all the Colts defenders, defensive back wise, in pass coverage, Kenny Moore's the second lowest, pass coverage wise. Now, like you said, we don't know exactly everything that, the defensive coordinator is asking Kenny Moore to do. Is he asking to cheat to help out a little bit in some situations? I don't know. I'm not there in the press conferences right now to go ask him. Maybe next time
Yeah.
I do, I'll ask him. We'll see. But
Work on that, will you?
I will. Yeah, that sounds like a great thing. Truett says, remember training camp? I yelled, don't listen to the haters rock. I get that.
Yeah.
Wentz season says, she's seen my thumbnail. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? The injuries, and that's an awful thing that happened. Watching how he injured that and got taken off the field, I honestly thought it was worse than a twisted ankle. I mean, I thought he had dislocated something. You know, I mean, that looked nasty. So I'm glad. I'm glad that it is just, you know, when I say just a sprained ankle, it's
Right.
you know, I mean, it's something that over time can heal up quickly. It could have been, you know, an ACL or something. You know, it could have been a knee injury.
That was my first thought when I seen that. I was like, oh, that knee just got so much torque on. And then when they started talking about the ankle, and then they showed it.
Martin Hazel keeps talking about a wrong thing. No, I've already talked about it. We already discussed it, Martin. They said that that Braden Smith's foot injury is a foot strain. They didn't get specific into where the strain was at, but it was a foot strain. And he said that today during his press conference, Frank Reich did. And, you know, I talked to DeQuell about that specific thing, about them being very not forthcoming about some things when it comes to injuries, and then some things they are. And he said that is something that they do very, very specifically. They don't talk about injuries very much because we're not the only ones watching, right?
Yeah.
Coaches and players of other teams are watching those press conferences as well, getting information. And if they know exactly what's wrong, then they might be able to exploit that on the field when they play against you. So they're trying to be vague about it. So, yes, I was upset, but when he explained that to me, I was like, that makes sense. That makes freaking sense. You know, as much as I want to know, I don't want the other team to know. So, you know, I'll sit in a little bit of darkness so that the other team can't go, okay, so, and people might be like, well, it's an injury to a specific spot. How is that going to affect if you know what the specifics is? Well, it's just like an ankle injury. When you have an ankle sprain, is it a high ankle sprain? Is it a low ankle sprain? Because you would attack that differently when you're a defender, because a high ankle sprain, pushing him sideways, that could hurt him really, really bad. But a low ankle sprain, pushing him sideways ain't going to do jack. It's pushing him back and forth, you know? So it really depends upon what type of injury it is to whether or not a defender knows how to attack that when they go up against you. And I'm just letting you guys know that, because I was right there with you when it came to, you know, why are they being so vague about it? But now I understand.
And the thing is, you think about it, the Colts have to have a lock on this being their secret weapon, because right now we got so many darn injuries that we have questions about. It's like, hey, do we worry about the quarterback? Do we worry about the tackle? Do we worry about the cornerback? I mean, you know, right now, these teams have to be going in going, we don't know what we're going to be lining up against.
Yeah. That exact type of injury that you were talking about, Martin, that's actually what Kamoko Toure and DeForest Buckner are dealing with, right? Groin injuries. That's what they're dealing with. And that's why they're not – Toure's not getting a lot of snaps. DeForest Buckner, believe it or not, I think he's playing pretty good for having a groin injury. I think he's been the best defensive player out there for the Colts so far the first 2 weeks. But someone that I need to see something come out of is Kwity Paye. Where are you at, my guy? You were a first-round pick. You're supposed to be getting pressure on the quarterback. In his press conference, he was talking about, well, I'm trying to learn to play. I'm doing well against the run. We didn't draft you to play the run, my guy. We drafted you to go get the quarterback and bring him down. Now I understand that is a problem. That you do want to play the run well as well, but you need to get your how you're attacking offensive linemen, the left tackles. You need to get that in process as well as you can, because this is a game where you're going to need to beat that left tackle a lot this coming Sunday to give us any kind of a shot.
Yeah, and we talked about how the Colts try to keep their injuries and stuff to keep them guessing. I was surprised to hear Quiddy say and how open and honest he was. He's like, I've only got one. He says he still just has his initial move, and then he's trying to figure out. I didn't like hearing him telling these guys that. It's like, oh, what are you doing, Rook? And I understand that you want to answer and be honest and stuff. But, I don't want these guys to signal this guy early and often. Then he's going to be questioning things. I don't. And not to mention, okay, I know I sound like an excuse maker. First off, I've always said, let rookies be rookies. Let them learn. Let them do. I didn't expect them to come out and start, piling up the sacks in week 1 and 2. Honestly, I sort of hope for maybe similar to what we saw from JT last year. Spend that first half of the year getting the reps, getting understanding of the game, and look who he's been going up against. It's not like he's been going up against some mid-tier left tackles. Not only is he going up against good left tackles, but he's going up against extremely experienced left tackles. Two of the more experienced tackles in the game. And to sit there and say that I expected him to blow by him and get a lot of that, I didn't expect that. And to sit there and hear that he's good in the rock, I'm ecstatic to hear that coming into this week, because this is another week. I don't see a lot of activity coming from Quiddy just because of the way that Tennessee runs the ball so heavy. I'm more hold that edge, hit that edge, keep that edge. Let's contain Derrick Henry between the tackles, because when Darius Leonard that said one of the worst things about Henry is whenever he gets outside of the tackles and then he has his speed and strength. Mm-hmm. So, Quiddy, listen to your teammate. Keep them inside. Set that edge.
I get what you're saying, and run blitzing is very important, right? Especially on first, second down against guys like Derrick Henry. I was questioning whether or not we wanted to run blitz much. DeQuell believes that we absolutely should, and the Colts don't do it there very often. But to get in the backfield, important. Guys, let you know, I appreciate each and every one of you being in here. I'm going to end up having to kill this stream because I got to prepare for getting on to another show here shortly. But thank you so much. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Loyalist, is there any final thoughts that you have about the injuries and anything about that before we head out?
I just want to double down and just say, guys, just understand, this team is, unfortunately, we're well diversified at how to play with injuries and stuff. So let's keep our hopes up and just, like I said, hopefully Jacob Eason or Carson Wentz, whoever is out there, is able to perform at a good enough level. Let's take advantage of that secondary, because Tennessee struggles.
All right. Well, that is that. We will be back on Friday to do a preview stream for the Colts-Titans game. Make sure you check us out, like I said, on Newsbreak, and share this stream if you can, or the Newsbreak streams if you get up on that. You help us out a ton. Don't forget to smash that like button. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. And until next time, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.